Alright, back to the Napoleonic Wars, and here we are in 1809. I ran through the first set of impulses. And let's see what happened. The French moved Davout forward and chased the Russians back through Nassau. They eventually went all the way back to Anhalt, trying to avoid getting intercepted by Napoleon. There was a battle. The Danes came down and tried to move to Hanover. They got intercepted there and driven back. About an equal battle. On that same Danish card, the Venice fleet card was played, and it's actually discarded, giving the French Denmark. The Turks were used by the Brits to up Sweden's diplomatic status. Other exciting stuff. Spanish played letters of marque, sent an English fleet out to go try and cope with that. And that's about it. Everybody else pretty much just built troops. Alright, next time through, the French pulled Napoleon out of Prague to take command of his main army in Prussia. We see here the Russians and Prussians moved their armies forward, the Russians taking Prague, again to prepare for a massive battle. Numerically, there's no question that the Prussian army is larger than the French one that's there. But numbers aren't everything at this one. On the other hand, with all the different coalition players, there's a good chance that events will go against Napoleon just because there's so many cards facing him. So he may be a little unwilling to actually advance on Berlin. But if he doesn't advance on Berlin, he's unable to knock the Prussians out of the war. And then next turn, Austria comes back in, and he's unable to cope with the English problem because his army is in Prussia. The English problem, Wellington moved to Cornwall. Unsure where he's going to go, probably Spain, but maybe France. Hard to tell at this point. And the miners, Denmark pulled a card. Turkey played with their ships. Spain. Spain. Spain went into Naples and also played with the Swedish alliances, dropping England's value with that. It's hard to tell how much you should really devote to alliances. I spend cards on them because my mindset is allies are an important thing and they should be swayed. And once you get them into that camp, into the full proxy pacts, then they stay there, kind of. But when I start looking at, gee, what has Denmark really done for me other than some cards? Spain's potent. Sweden is probably on the same line as Denmark, though, in terms of how valuable it is. Or Turkey. Turkey has really not done much, although keeping Turkey out of foreign wars is of some value. But anyway, when I look at what Denmark's done, I'm not really impressed with what Sweden might do. Might be able to take Denmark out. But there's another version of this, which is that these things generate cards. Those cards can be valuable, not only, they can be valuable on the diplomatic track, among other things, but that sounds like a failure to gain anything. But they can also be valuable in terms of winning battles, because they might have a battle effect card. Wow. I forgot about the fact there are French troops up in Scotland. Oops. Might want to send somebody to deal with that. That sounds dangerous. So, on the French turn immediately following the last set of impulses, I started looking at the situation more and more carefully in the light of a new day. And it's an interesting one. I counted up the forces that Blucher has. It comes to something like 28 dice. Napoleon would have, without bonuses, so put him at, I think 30 dice, maybe 31. And Napoleon would be at 23, maybe 25. That's too much to make the fight when they're going to have the card advantage, when everything. So Napoleon can't go in and attack. On the other hand, there's no way Blucher can move that force. And he'd be at a disadvantage with anything he could move getting in there. So it's kind of a stalemate right now there. Now, Blucher could conceivably move forward and make an attack, but that army is just too unwieldy as it stands to be able to reach Napoleon. And actually, there's more units under it, so attacking Berlin itself would be harder. So the French start coming to the conclusion of, okay, we can't take Berlin, what can we do? Thoughts about splitting that Napoleon's army, because if you don't split it, the Prussians can come out all over the place and do all kinds of things if you move away. And maybe try to set up for an invasion of England again to at least get something done. And something came to mind. One of the cards in my hand was Polish Revolt. And so we got a decent-sized little force under Poniatowski. The ability to build and actually attack Russia. And that may be something of a game changer there. We'll see. Other options along those lines might be going after Turkey, but it's just so far for so little. Knocking Russia out would actually be very, very valuable. Can they do it? Probably not. But there's not much in the way. There's two guys here, somebody up here, and somebody down here. That's it. Okay, partway through this sequence of impulses, what's happened? I think we had already discussed the French situation. The English moved down Wellington, did an amphibious assault on Oporto, also attempting to end the Letters of Marque War. That failed. Austria building up. They picked up Schwarzburg to make things more likely when they come in next turn in terms of coordinating a couple large forces. Russia tried to play Holy Mother Russia. Hoped to get some troops to face Poniatowski. Unfortunately, they got a resource out of it. I think generally that's the better result, but they were really kind of hoping to get some cheap forces out of this, and they're not going to get that. See who else. Prussia started the ponderous move forward, absorbing Constantine's force. It took a 5-point card just to move there. That huge army is very threatening. Now, Napoleon obviously can just withdraw from it if it stumbles forward. But at the very least, there's, one valuable territory there. Prussia had, I don't know if they still do. This is one thing I find hard with the game, especially solitaire, but maybe in any amount, is keeping track of who has the right to preempt at any given time. There may have been times when I've not noticed it. Turkey did very little. They played a cheap card, upgraded Denmark, and I'm not even sure they could do that. I don't know. I don't want to look it up. And moved into the Aegean. There's a lot of special little rules in this game, which I like, but the rules are a pain to face, and doing it with the video, it's annoying. And then Spain. So I'm on Spain's turn, and I was about to do what I thought would happen, which is, oh look, there's British troops in the peninsula. I should be able to use this. Well, if I read this, it begins to lead me to believe that it's actually a mistake. It certainly works the way I did not expect it. Roll a die. If you roll greater than the number of enemy forces in Spain, you draw 2 cards. You have to play one of them. Otherwise, draw a card which you can keep. So, it's better if you're not invaded? That's not the feeling that I got. I had the feeling that this card was something to represent the insurrection in Spain. And it looks more like it represents, as long as nobody's bothering Spain, they can get additional cards. I'm going to look online and see if there's an issue there before I play their turn. Okay, 2 quick clarifications. One is, I could not find an answer in the rules on the online on this rule. It looks so counterintuitive to me, though. I'm just going to play it the way I think it should be, which is the exact opposite of what it states. Basically, if there are forces, if you can roll a die under the amount of forces, you get 2 cards. Otherwise, you only get 1. One of which must be played. I have to play that then. And the other one is, I did look up, and the Turkish maneuver to flip the console on somebody else's chart, it doesn't appear to be legitimate. I'm not sure, because it is a British force. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to do that. I'm moving the Turkish force down towards Corfu, and that's 1, 2. In order to, and not the Navy, in order to move it over into Italy to help challenge the Spaniards. What I was doing was useless. Alright, back around, and clearly I was misplaying the diplomatic roles. I know that I've done that as a mistake before. Try not to in the future, but you know, when I play these for the first time, it's quite often going to be the case that I'll miss something like that. Alright, so what happened? The Prussians, well, actually the Russians went first. They chased after Poniatowski, didn't quite reach it, but they did manage to unflag Warsaw. Then to the Prussian move, and I moved all except the Russian forces, because all I had was a 5-point card, into Hanover. Napoleon made some real thinking here and ended up withdrawing rather than fighting. He would have been at severe disadvantage even against that force with cards, with total dice. And you know, yeah, I got the Imperial Guard, but there might still be cards out there. There aren't a lot left. Might be possible I'll go for it on the next try when almost all the cards are gone. Further actions. Turkey moved its forces over to contest the Spaniards over in Italy. And impressive, over here in Spain, Castanos barely defeated Wellington. He charged in to relieve the siege in Lisbon, which Wellington set up. That did not succeed, nor did the siege of Grodno that the French set up over here. But it was kind of amusing to see Wellington defeated by a Spanish army. I don't know how much it affects the situation, but Spain only has a reserve left, so there isn't a lot that they can do. I've got to keep in mind the fact of resources, that both France and Russia have the possibility to push for a little bit further each turn. So the French reaction was to break Davout off and slip around to Berlin, and he flagged Berlin, Leipzig, and Breslau this way. as well as defeating the forces in Berlin. Kind of a scary prospect. It looks like Prussia might fall. On the British turn, Wellington attacked Castanos again. Still like 9 dice to 5, I think it is. 5-9. No, 11 dice to 5. And was again knocked back. No losses to either side. So the Prussians moved forward. The Russians chased the Danes a little bit. The Prussians moved forward to attack Berlin. I believe it was Davout who was there defending it. Intercepts, and the Austrians chipped in their bonus card, which was leader ill. Takes away Davout's dice. The battle that ensued ended up inflicting 2 hard casualties and 3 soft ones on Davout, and nothing on the Prussians. That counts as a rout. All the disordered units were eliminated, so that killed everything off. Normally in a rout with someone like Davout, there's a good chance of a resource happening, but because he was sick, it doesn't happen. I'm not sure how fair that is, but whatever. And then instead of moving into Berlin, which would have cost 2 command points, Blücher spent the points to flag Berlin. He only had 4 total, and he let the guy he left behind, Brunswick, flag Hanover back. So a Prussian surrender is less likely now. Okay, so here we are at the end of the 1809-1810 turn, moving into 1811-12. I just haven't dealt the cards out and coped with them. That's kind of an expensive process with all the different powers. France was in the lead. They took a penalty to try to improve their chances of rolling above a 6. And Austria and Russia said, hey, no, that's not going to happen. They're both the leading Allied players who would have been able to be in that position. Austria joined the coalition. So now France is in the unenviable position of facing everyone except Spain, basically. And to counterbalance that, there's Turks in Italy threatening and only Spaniards to defend. Doesn't look great for them. There's a good chance that France probably won't fall this turn, but they might suffer some serious setbacks. Napoleon had to reposition his forces. Still got some stuck back in Paris. He's trying to be able to handle that Prussian threat and maybe knock somebody out this turn if he gets lucky. But there's a lot of Austrian forces to face him. The English are going to go back up and grab Scotland, it looks like, if they don't get completely distracted in their Spanish campaign. Knocking Spain out of the war would be huge. Not a lot else. Alright, so that's the position we're in.